Our next presenter is a returning coach, but she actually shares a distinction with another coach that's here this evening. Lenny, who's the head coach of men's soccer, is, in a sense, the winningest men's soccer coach at Drew. And Kim Christos is the winningest to date, since we do have the current coach here, the winningest to date coach of women's Drew lacrosse. Kim, it's a pleasure to welcome you back.
When I turned 40, I got a pair of these, so I'm fitting, though, with the rest of the group, so it's fine. Good evening. It's great to be here among my former colleagues and these amazing Drew athletes. When Casey asked me to present, she said, you know, I'm a little bit nervous of what you're going to say when you're up there. You know, there's nothing to be nervous about because coaches remember only the good things. They forget the bad things, just as parents do with their own children. We only remember the good. So Casey, here it goes. Coaches are always in search of a diamond in the rough, that rare player who others overlook because her true value is yet to be uncovered. But once uncovered and allowed to shine, that player can make a huge impact. Casey O'Brien was my diamond in the rough. Diamonds are mined from rocks, and at the beginning they all look like other rocks, with just a glimmer of something more. But in the hands of an expert, that special rock goes through the process of cleaning, cutting, and polishing. It's only after this laborious process that the rough diamond acquires the sparkle and brilliance, which makes it such a prized possession, which makes it a valuable gem. While Casey was at Drew, she went through a similar process and became a gem. At a glance, Casey may have appeared ordinary, but her coaches and teammates recognized a very precious and valuable potential within her. With a lot of hard work, perseverance, and determination on Casey's part, her true potential was discovered and she was able to shine brightly. Casey was strong, tough, focused, confident, and often opinionated. She was an exceptional goalie and leader of the defensive unit in both lacrosse and field hockey. She earned the respect from her peers with her fearless play in between the pipes and her loud vocal cues directing her teammates. Her teams knew that with Casey in the goal, they could accomplish great things. During her 4 years from 2002 to 2006, her teams went to the NCAA Sweet 16, won ECAC and conference championships. Casey was one of the main reasons why they had such success. In lacrosse, she was a 3-time all-conference selection, named all-region, and was selected to the IWLCA All-American Second Team in 2005. She was also named Inside Lacrosse Preseason First Team All-American in 2006. In the Drew record books, she ranks in the top 10 in every category, while ranking number 1 in 3. She ranks first in career saves with an astounding 740, first in season team wins with 16, and first in career wins with 54. During the 2006 season, I specifically remember one game that we played at Franklin and Marshall. We didn't win, actually. We lost 13-17, but Casey pretty much single-handedly kept us in that game. That team went on to eventually win an NCAA championship. She had an astonishing 18 saves. She was so good that I remember wanting my defenders to foul and put the opponent on the line because I knew Casey would make the save and we would get the ball back. The trust her teammates had in her abilities allowed them to also take chances, where they too had opportunities to shine. Casey, though, not only excelled in athletics, but she was also a distinguished scholar. She graduated cum laude, majoring in political science and minoring in sociology and Russian. Pretty tough. In 2005, Casey participated in both the Drew International Seminar to Chile and the Drew Semester at the United Nations, where she won the prestigious Janet T. Silver Memorial Prize. Her academic accolades were numerous for both field hockey and lacrosse, being named Conference All-Academic 5 times. In field hockey, she ranks 9th in team total wins during her career, and she participated in the NCAA Sweet 16 in 2004. Currently, Casey resides in Philadelphia and is a senior paralegal at one of the country's most recognized and respected immigration law firms. Casey, take these off of this. Drew University, your family, your friends that are here today, your teammates, thank you, Mackenzie, for coming, and especially your coach is so proud of you and all of your accomplishments, both academically and athletically as a student athlete at Drew. Congratulations.
Hi. First, I just have to start off with the obligatory thank you to everyone, the committee, Zach for doing all of this. Zach actually notified me by Facebook message that I got this. I think one of the more non-traditional notifications that I've gotten for something like this. For the members of my family that are here, my niece Isabel, her mother Natalie, and my best friend since we were 11 years old, Nicole. So thank you guys. And then we've also got Mackenzie, my teammate, former roommate, former ship resident, but that's an inside joke. And some of the members of my current post-collegiate club team who I've been playing with for almost 10 years now. So, that's been a huge thing that I've been able to continue playing. So before I get kind of started on the rest of it, I kind of want to acknowledge how great Missy did on her speech, and I wish I could just cut and paste and just use that speech, because I think she hit a lot of the things that I would want to say, and a lot of the things that I think are so great about Drew, about being a student athlete, about especially being a female student athlete, and a two-sport athlete. So thank you for saying a lot of the things that I won't now have to say. I mentioned my niece Isabel. I'm really, really happy that she's here. She's hiding right now because she just started playing field hockey this year. She's 10. So I'm really, really glad that she gets to hear from a lot of these strong women, just strong athletes, and really kind of learn and see what's ahead of her in being a student athlete, being an athlete, and just, growing up. So hi, and I hope you're, listening to everything. Like I said, Missy and everybody else have said everything great. Sports have really, taught me discipline, dedication. They've helped me when things are going rough in classes. A coach would have to pull me aside and say, listen, your team's on the line here. You've got to do well, in your classes here. So, your eligibility to play isn't, in jeopardy. Everybody's looking towards you for an example. So, that was always something that it taught me that it was all about more than just me. I wasn't playing for myself. I wasn't even necessarily studying for myself. It was all for the team, and this was even before Drew, but, definitely even more so at Drew. Overall, it's also sent me places that I kind of never imagined, I would ever go, and given me experiences that I would have never envisioned. And I think Kim put it really well when describing me as diamond in the rough. When she said that, I was kind of I don't know how I feel about that. But, as she explained it, I said, yeah, that's right. Because I was a fairly accomplished, middle school and high school athlete, all conference and all group and stuff in my New Jersey high school. But no Division I schools called me. The schools I got calls from were some school in Indiana, schools I had never heard of. But before those schools called me, actually, the very first coach to call me was Kim. So she was really dogged and sort of following up and pursuing me, and I ended up applying early decision. So that's a call back to Jason talking about the rate of early decision, early acceptance athletes. I was one of them. I never really even seriously applied to another school. Rowan was recruiting me with some of my teammates, but I knew absolutely, just like everybody else didn't want to stay in Maine, I did not want to go to Rowan. But I'm really, really happy I made that decision, even though, at times I wonder whether I had the blinders on because Kim was so great. And when I came on my first visit, I was just so impressed by everyone at the school, by how welcoming they were, how charming the town and campus were. I'd seen all the academic programs. I knew before I even went that I wanted to do the United Nations semester and one of the Drew International seminars. And that day that I stepped on campus, I kind of said to my mom before we even got to campus, I was like, I think I'm coming here. So I think it was 2 days later I applied early decision, and honestly never thought about going somewhere else. And I'm really glad that I made that decision, because I think that I really value and appreciate the value of the liberal arts education. I value and appreciate all the experiences that I've had at Drew. Including, the UN semester academically, the Drew International Seminar, not just playing for Kim, but also working for her. I worked for her for 4 years, and also with a lot of you here in the athletic department, Chris, Billy, Coach Lianos, Lenny, I was always around, and I just always felt really, really supported by the athletic department. I had a little bit of a family away from home, and I really liked that. Actually, something that I always remember, and I'm not sure, Kim, you might remember this, but my mom called Kim one time, and they were just talking about something. I'm not even sure what, but Kim said something like, I really, I consider Casey to be more than just a player and more than just be my student worker. I think that she's a friend, and that was really, really touching to me, and I think really reinforced my choice to go to Drew. Also, I was talking to Billy before, and I wanted to mention that Billy actually wrote me a really touching email my last week on campus that I still kind of save and read. Maybe sometimes when I'm feeling down. Since I spent so much time in the forum, Billy and I were always talking when I had shifts at the issue desk and in the weight room, and Billy just sent me a really, really thoughtful email right before graduation about the 4 years that I'd spent in the forest. And like Kim has done tonight, pointed out some things that I'm not really sure that I realized about myself. So I want to thank Billy for being a really constant presence in the Drew community. Thank Kim and everybody else as well. And I would be really remiss if I didn't specifically point out my Central teammates who are here tonight. Central Cougars, New York City. We play in some of the most fun tournaments all around the world, basically. If you notice in the bio, it mentions that I played in Jamaica, and it's under contest a little bit as to whether we are actually officially the first refereed game of lacrosse in Jamaica, but whether or not it officially is, I'm willing to claim that it is. And we brought sticks and some other stuff for the schools, and if you look into it a little bit now, now lacrosse is sort of a burgeoning thing in Jamaica, and while I'm not going to claim any credit for it, I was really proud to be, there in the beginning. And, harkening back to when I mentioned new experiences, growing up, in the sort of family that I did that was not an athletic family, not particularly the highest on the socioeconomic, ladder, I would have never imagined that I would have played lacrosse in Australia, in Bermuda, in Jamaica, in New Orleans, all up and down the East Coast and the Senior All-Star Game. If Kim hadn't have found me, yeah. So just the last thing I wanted to say, and it kind of brings it all together, is there are a lot of good nonprofit organizations out there right now doing kind of exactly what Drew and what Kim did for me, but starting earlier. And one of them was actually founded by my teammate, Mackenzie Sandler. Sorry, I'm going to get a little bit emotional here because it's in honor of her brother, Jack Sandler, who is a very well-known and respected lacrosse coach, and he suddenly passed away about a year ago. So she's started that organization in his honor, and I really want you to check out the Jack Sandler Leadership Foundation, which tries to bring lacrosse to people who wouldn't necessarily have exposure to it and get them in sort of the pipeline that I and Jack were able to luckily get into. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kim and Casey.